guys, this is going to be another poll that we address in the chat, and I want to get the chat engaged on this one. This is going to be fun. Detolf versus Moduspace. And again, there are a lot of different factors that you can think about here. There's price, there's wait time, there are scale. There's so many different Moduspaces you can get. My question more so is, how do you want to display your collection? Do you want to use a Detolf setup, or do you want to use Moduspaces? I'm going to raise this to the chat because, again, you got to factor in different things with different products, right? I will say the Detolf is going up in price pretty regularly at this point. I think, where is it sitting at now, Kiko? 140?
I think it's 159 in some
159
in some countries, honestly.
That's insane, Kiko, because at one point when I bought these, they were $60.
A majority of mine were bought for $69.99.
Yeah, 60. Yeah, I think mine might have been, it was either $59.99 or $69.99. Yeah, something like that. And I bought 4 of them. Yep. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. But I'm going to, raise a poll to the chat here on this one. But Ben, I want to start with you. All things considered, what would you do? Moduspace or Detolf? Because this is like what 99% of collectors do. One of these two things. Or if you're really handy like Costa from Pop Culture Living Room or other collectors like that who make their own, that's not Kiko and I. I don't know about you, Ben, but we're not good with that shit. So we buy things. What about you, Ben? What would you choose here? Detolf or Moduspace?
I will say that the very first Kiko video on YouTube I ever watched, this was long before we ever got to know each other as people, was you doing a trip to pick up Detolfs.
Oh, fun!
That was like the very first YouTube video of yours I ever saw, and it was a fun video, honestly.
Yay!
Yeah. Do we have to choose between these two, or
yes?
Oh, we have to. Okay. If I had to choose between these two, it would be Moduspace or Moduspace. I like the way that you can build them. I like the way that you can customize your display. I like that they seem, at least, and I've never had one in hand, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but they don't feel as brittle as Detolfs. I had a few Detolfs when I first started figure collecting, and I typically like to look at my figures face on or head on. I don't always like the way that figures look from the side, and Detolfs give you the ability to see them at multiple angles, which is a good thing in theory. But I find that, like, for me, I lose some of my some of my affection for the poses that I've done when I can see it from the side versus when it's straight on view. But it's a tough question because I also like one figure per display. I don't love the Kallax shelf that I've got behind me. This is just temporary, but I did switch to the Billies from IKEA. And I like the Billies because you can have multiple shelf heights, but it's still face on when you're looking at your display. And it felt super clean. I could have one figure per display. Now, I only have just under 40 figures. I know there are collectors that have hundreds of figures, and one figure just like per display just literally can't happen, whether it's a preference or not. I do think that with at least the Moduspace, the ability to have risers in them create some level of dynamicness in terms of like height scaling and how you have figures posed above each other or stuff like that. Marco166, he's been showing me pictures of his recent Moduspace or Moduspace setup, and he's got 10 figures in one box, and where I thought that might have looked cluttered at one point, the way he's been able to display it looks super clean, really classy, and it sold me on it definitely a little bit more. The price is the absolute, like, I don't even know what you'd call it, like knife in the chest. I heard somebody say earlier on another stream, I think it was brother cousin stream, somebody that they got 14 Moduspaces on the way, and I was like, man, like the cost of that must be like absolutely astronomical. I don't know how people could afford it. I've always said that if you're going to invest in your collection, you should also invest in your display, but that is going at it at like another level. Like that, the cost is crazy. So that's why I think guys like Pop Culture Living Room, the way he's been able to design a garage shelf to make it work for him at the cost that he could do it is so attractive.
Yeah.
But my answer for you today would be Moduspace.
Yeah. It's going to be Moduspace for me, but I've not owned one yet. Mine should take, I've been waiting almost a year now. So it takes a while. I know Brian has said that they're speeding up production and they're getting to the point where hopefully it's going to be 4 to 5 months. That would be amazing. Even faster than that would be amazing. If they can get it to 2 to 3 months, I think at that point people, because I think one of the biggest cons that people have about Moduspace is the wait time. And Brian knows that. Moduspace knows that. They know. They know if they could pump out more, they could sell more. So, it's just a matter of being able to get the manpower or the robot power to do it. But I love Detolfs. I had 4 Detolfs. I actually gave them to my brother, and he's using them to display like football memorabilia and autographs and things like that. But because I'm getting Moduspaces. But that said, Kiko, you and Lael probably are the king of Detolfs, both of you. So what do you think? I know we talked about the Moduspaces. Where would you go here if you had to choose between, if you, all things considered, would you choose Detolfs or Moduspace?
This is a tough one because you and I chatted at length and kind of did a not a survey, but a consultation to kind of see, okay, what could I be getting out of X, Y, or Z? Because you're not giving me a third choice. I really would like, a third off the board choice, but this is my only option. So I have looked into the Moduspace, Moducase option quite a bit. I've done my measurements. I've done all those different things, done the cost analysis, and I never saw one in person until yesterday when we were at Replay Toys. And what I noticed is that it did not seem like a seamless, clean look to me. That was my issue. And the biggest thing that bothered me is that everyone's like, oh, it's nothing's stopping Moducase. It's the best, it's the ultimate protect. It had a giant crack. Something, messed it up. And that's the difference. You can break glass, you can break acrylic, I understand. But this unbeatable display option was flawed at Replay Toys. And I'm like, what is this? And how often is that going to happen? If a figure falls into that, what caused this? And that raised a couple of alarms for me. Here's a couple things to also keep in mind. To answer the question, I'm going with Detolf because that's what I have now. I'm at this point in my collection, I don't really have an option to switch out 23 different Detolfs at this point. So with that being said, the things I don't like about my Detolf is that, yes, I can't put, the Captain America Sam Wilson wings to its full potential. Same with, the blurg is not going to fit in the deal. So you're limited on what you can put in there. So you have to get creative. Do you need to raise a shelf? That's an option you can do. Do you need to figure out poses, get limited in poses? Maybe. Do you need to maybe skip out on a figure because it's not going to go in there? Maybe you have to do that too. I would hate that situation. And then I also don't think the wiring situation is perfect because it's a all glass cabinet. You're going to see something. You're like, well, you just hide the wires better. You're going to see something. It's all glass. There's nowhere to hide in there. It's a metal frame. It's all glass. There's nowhere to hide. So you're always going to have wires, and that irritates me a little bit. But you and I talked about this with the Moduspace. Is it Moduspace or Case? It's Space.
It's Moduspace now.
Okay,
It was Case. I know, but I don't know why they changed it. But yeah,
I want to be relevant. I don't want to sound like an old geezer here. So there's still wires to be seen even in Moduspace because if you're going to do the lights, there's going to be that little loop that hangs down there. So there's no way to get away for a perfect seamless if you're going with an actual lit up option that is powered by electricity and not just battery powered or whatever. So you're going to have the wires anywhere. For me, you want to see everything. I like the cube option of a smaller contained space because you can frame scenes better. You can say, okay, here is my Batman 89 right in there. There's Joker, there's 89, there's Mime Joker. There it is. You can frame them a little bit better. And so when you walk into my room, you can see these multiple moments in time that are grouped together. There's some people that are a lot better at it than others, but when I see a Moducase or Moduspace, it looks like everything's just thrown in there. People just don't stagger the heights properly. Maybe they're missing the risers. There's an art to it for sure, but I feel like you get a more cluttered look in a Moduspace. At least the Detolf separates it for you. And that's my big thing, is that I want a clean, simple, understandable aesthetic. I don't want it to look like people just walked in there and just threw everything in there and because they had nowhere to put it and then threw a glass thing on top and say, okay, there's my display. So I think I'm sticking with the Detolf, but as you know, I have 3 giant vehicles sitting right here that have no place to go. They're not going on top of the Detolf. So I'm going to have to figure something out. And I think for those, I'm going to try to do the Costa case because I'm not waiting 3,000 years for the Moduspaces to come in. These cannot just sit out there for another 3 years, essentially. I need something right now. I'm going to maybe find some people that are a little more handy. Dave, if you're listening, when you come up here to hang my HasLab Proton Pack on my wall, maybe you can help me build this thing the right way. So I'm going to have to go cost a case, I think, for the vehicles, because they've lost my sales. At least Moduspace has, because I'm not waiting that long. And I think a lot of people would say that as well. When you have, and I've rambled for a minute, I'm going to shut up.
That's all right.
When you have a collection, you need to put them somewhere. They're not going to sit on a table forever. And if you're like, okay, well, I'll just wait till the module spaces come in. Okay, if you want to do that. But if not, where are you going to put these things? And for me, I don't have that option, because I have vehicles sitting there right now. I'm not waiting forever. I have to find another option. So they've lost my sale on that. And I'm not yelling at them for that, but I'm just saying, I think a lot of collectors agree. I would rather have an immediate need met right now, or at least a moderately need met within a certain amount of time, as opposed to that wait period. Because to me right now, that wait period is not acceptable for, mainstream collectors.
No, and I get it, because it's a little bit different, Kiko, for because for collectibles themselves, we wait 2 years, 3 years sometimes.
Yeah.
But those are a little bit different because we have other collectibles to keep us occupied. But the display cases are so integral to your collection that waiting a year or a year and a half is difficult. So again, I think you get, from what I've always been told and what everyone has told me, that Moduspaces are a premium product and they look fantastic. But the wait, you're absolutely right. And again, Brian knows this.
18 months,
Yeah, Brian knows. He's very well aware. He knows. He's an incredible guy and a very smart businessman, very savvy. So he knows they're trying to up the wait time. So they're aware. So that's one thing about Detolfs. But remember, Detolfs were out of stock for a while too. Detolfs were very difficult to find there for a while during the COVID years. I don't know how it is now, how the stock's looking these days, but I think you could probably get them a little bit easier now. But for a while, Detolfs
still not here for me, anyways.
Wow. See, and that's something to monitor too, Ben. Like, if you can't find Detolfs either, then I get it, because I've had tables set up and a closet with my figures in them, waiting for Moduspace. So it takes a while, right? It just takes a while. But again, I'm really excited to get what the final product is going to be. The assembly, Brian told me I could call him, and I know Justin and other people, Riley has assembled them. So I'll be calling you guys probably and be like, please help me with this. So because I'm going to be all over the place. But that said, we got some interesting results. Moduspace ended up winning the poll. 62% said Moduspace, 61, 38% said Detolf on 47 votes. So interesting. Both are great options though, guys. This is not either option.
Sorry to interrupt you, buddy. The chat did bring up some good points in there as well.
Yeah.
In terms of are they overhyped? Are they overpriced?
Yeah, some great points.
And
yeah.
I mean, we've talked a lot about this with figures in the past too, right? Like when we got our Joker coming, people had to pay so much more money for that figure release. So our expectation of that figure was that much more elevated than what it would be for a hot toy. The reason for me I found that question so hard to compare it is for that very reason alone. If I'm going to pay $2,000 or more for a figure display, it better be the nicest display I've ever seen. And I don't always feel like Moduspace feels that way to me. It doesn't always feel like it's the most premium thing that you'll ever see in the market. I've seen some wonderful displays for half or a quarter of the cost. Lael, I mean, look at his Detolf setup. They're awesome. It looks so good. Some of my favorite displays I've ever seen are Detolfs on a Kallax riser. It just elevates it. It makes it look so much more premium. And it's so much better in price that my expectation level is also then reduced. If you see a wire, who cares? Because I was able to afford a really nice looking display still without it. If I got a Moduspace in hand or a Moduspace in hand, my very first question of myself would be, does it justify the price? And if I can't definitively say yes in my heart, I know it would drive me bonkers over time that I spent that
makes
kind
me
of money.
feel better.
Well, and it's interesting, Ben, because again, I've not had them in hand yet, but just from what everyone has told me, people who I trust and who have a lot of experience with this collecting thing tell me they are. And when I have them in hand, I'll let you guys know, because I've had Detolfs, I've had big ass wooden cabinets from antique stores that were really great, and I'll have the Moduspaces, and we'll see, because the Moduspaces are going to hold all my figures and all my statues. So I built them all out based on that purpose. So it's going to really change the aesthetic of this entire room, because right now this is all temporary. I got tables and cubes and stuff in here because I'm waiting for the Moduspaces. So it's a waiting game. So, but with anything quality wise, you have to wait sometimes. But if they could speed up the production, I doubt this would even be much of a conversation. Like if they could speed up the production to, 3 months, like they're hoping, most people would probably change over. But you're right, Ben, about the price. I mean, they are expensive. They are expensive, no doubt about it. But it's a long-term investment. That's the way I view it.